Hello, everyone, and welcome to our character session. So today was the release of the new character and world building templates. So we are here in this class, Story Bible 2 Unlimited Characters. As a reminder, this session, this whole hour will only be focused on the character template. That's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go through all of the steps. So please bear with us if you've already played around with it. You know the beginning parts. Some people haven't messed with it. I want to get everybody on the same page before we dive in. Tomorrow will be the world building template. So we'll spend the whole hour going over that. And then on Thursday, we'll do a little workflow incorporating the new templates. So if y'all have not signed up, please go to the Luma page and sign up for those. I am going to link this document here. And this is just some things for us to go over real quick. So first, I want to make sure everybody understands the opt-in. Lauren, thank you. I stole your picture for the screenshot. So whenever you go into a project that has already been started, you should see this update this project. If you don't see it, don't know where it's at, I will show it to you, I promise. But I want to make sure everybody understands this opt-in. You do not have to opt into the new character stuff. These are the new character templates we're talking about. So when we say the new character stuff, if you are completely happy with your old characters, the old character box, such as this, or maybe you're almost done with your story, you don't want to take the risk of messing things up. We know how AI can be. Just want to keep going. You do not have to update. You can just leave it like this and keep going. That is for each project. Just because I update this project and get the new character cards doesn't mean all of my projects will be updated. It's on a project by project basis. So you have 30 days to update your existing projects. If you start a new project, you're already going to get the new character stuff. So keep that in mind. Each one will be different. And then after about 30 days, they say June 15th here on the button, all of the projects will be converted. So even those you haven't updated yet, those will get updated to the new character box. Do y'all have any questions on the opt-in? I put some information from Josh right here too. Some really good stuff. So any questions on the opt-in on upgrading your projects? Not seeing anything. All right, moving right along. We'll go through this for both sessions.
Did you see Simon's question in the chat? If the characters are part of world building, something like demigods or mystical beasts, will their entries be linked?
If characters are, so they should, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly. Do you mean like you have something in the characters and in the world building that should go together? There are ways to link those with your wording. Is that what you're asking, Simon? Okay.
Yes, he says yes.
Awesome. And that'll be something really good for us to play around with. So I actually have something similar, I think, in this. So if I'm not covering exactly what you need, let me know what the projects I have, because I have the project I want to play with is elemental riders with mythical beasts attached to each one. So that'll be a good experiment. You'll see this template box ideas for you. You're welcome to play around with this. This is just some stuff, templates I already had, and then templates I worked with ChatGPT to create. So you can go into these, and all it is just some ideas for your fields for in those templates, both characters and world building. Just something for y'all to have fun with. If you're stuck, you don't know what to put. Play with those. And let's dive in. I copy this just in case anybody needs the link to register for the other classes. Yep, I will do that, Bruce. We're going to do that right now. Okay. So again, these are the new character templates. This is how it will look once you have upgraded. Instead of just the box with everything in there, you're going to have individual cards. Obviously, I've already updated this one. Actually, this one's from beta. This is an old one, where I still just have the old character box, right? Just gonna scroll down just so you can see. So there's nothing here. Your update per project is above the brain dump. So you'll see, I'm closing out my chat box. Y'all let me know if I need anything. So you'll see this right here. Update this project now. So I'm going to go ahead and click the update. And that is essentially me opting in for that project. Again, this is on a project by project basis. Just doing it to one project doesn't make all of them opt into the new stuff. So I clicked that. And if I scroll down here, I now have a bug. And I'm glad the team was here to see.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
so
happened? Would it be helpful for me to talk about what happened here?
I'm going to guess, let me know if I'm right. I'm going to guess it's because of my formatting.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I don't have the old book to show y'all. Let me see. But essentially what he's talking about, I go to my Jack the Ripper. I've already updated that as the, yeah. So essentially what it was is because of the way I like to update or organize my characters. And I'll show y'all that real quick. So if y'all know y'all need to update yours before you opt in, you can see. So when we were using the old character box, I always had my characters formatted like this, with all of these attributes, strengths, wording, whatever you needed. So that threw it off, correct, Josh?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Okay. So keep that in mind. I'm just going to look through here. So it did do 2 of them, and then essentially it separated all of those. If that happens to you, it's a bug. I will sort through it. We'll just go to a different project. I have enough.
Is it okay if I just say one thing about that real quick?
Yes, sir.
So if folks have characters that they want to bring into the new universe, what you can do is just make sure that the format matches the exact format that's sort of specified in the characters box there, where it's character name, colon, and then just everything in one big paragraph. And then, yeah, if you go and then it'll all be pulled into the card, like one card per character. The issue is that as far as the AI, as far as our the parsing can tell, if there's a new line and there's a colon, it thinks that that's a character if it's in the character box.
I was saying just have, instead of all of my constant colon attributes, character name and a description here in the thing. All right, so let's work through doing a couple of these.
Josh. Sorry, just to confirm, Josh, would that line break throw it off? Is it expecting a space rather than a line break?
It's expecting a space, yeah. Should be character name, colon, description.
All righty. So this is a little project we started, just those elemental writers. Haven't done much with this. We played around with this in the class. So now we'll walk through creating new characters and the templates. Before we walk through to actually creating those, the new templates, any questions still on converting? Everybody good with that? Hit that button. Update the project. Now this is a good question for the staff. In this one, I just have it ready for this class, so I have no old characters. We should still go ahead and update this though, correct? To get those new cards.
That's right.
So we're going to update it. And now we have the templates. So when you start a new project, brand new project, there is no opt-in for it. And if I just scroll down to my characters, that's what I have right away. So if I go before my brain dump, I don't have that update project. So remember that all new projects will automatically be upgraded. You just dive right on into your character stuff. It's only your projects already started that you need to do that update with. Now the fun part. So you can do lots of things here, and I have broken all of this down for y'all, but please feel free to ask questions as we go. I really don't mind y'all interrupting me. You can raise your hand. You can type a question in chat if you don't want to speak or can't speak. We have staff here. We have a ton of ambassadors, teachers. They can also answer if I can't get to it, but also feel free to speak up, interrupt me, ask me to repeat stuff. People have had to tell me to slow down. Feel free to tell me that too. So this generate all characters button, we'll do that. But this is going to generate your cast, your entire cast. Think of this like the original generate characters button from the old box. So once I filled out my brain dump and synopsis, I can just generate this and it's going to go through everything and generate that entire cast in one shot, and then I can edit. So this is the most closely like the old box. You can do add the single character and generate character where we have some instructions. So we're going to try to go through all of these so y'all can see them firsthand. First thing I want y'all to look at is the customize. So you see here, I already have a bunch of mine. It does start off with the defaults: personality, background, physical description, and dialogue style. I've tweaked my wording, so it's going to be looking a little different, but it does start off with each default template starts with just those 4. I can X out, get rid of those, or I can come down here and click add. It's going to pop up a new field and I can name it whatever I want. This is something I want y'all to keep in mind because this is what makes these so powerful and so much fun, in my opinion. This holds up to, I believe it's 300 characters in each field, and it can act as instructions for your AI. So for instance, let me delete this one. My unique habits, quirks, and mannerisms right here. I actually have some new wording that I found I preferred. And where is it? Of course, I didn't save it to easily go to. But I am going to tell instead of just having a simple habits, quirks, and mannerisms right here, I am going to change up my wording slightly. Generate a unique and subtle habit, quirk, or mannerism. So now it's just adding a little more emphasis for the AI to make sure it's something unique, and subtle is not spelled correctly, but to also make it something subtle. This has helped if y'all played around with having your characters have habits. You know, the women tend to bite their lip, twirl their hair. The men pace, tap their foot, tap a pen. It's always generally the same thing over and over. This really helped bring out something else. I had, you know, just the characters always flipping a coin between their fingers, flipping a knife, just various little things that I really liked. So keep that in mind. And I preach about this in classes, how important I think having a sample line of dialogue is for your characters. So I made mine different. So I have one where it's describing their speaking style, but also one where it's a sample line of dialogue. There are so many different fields and things y'all can do in here. Just keep in mind these names can act as instructions to guide the AI how to fill that box in. So once you've added all of the traits that you want, you have 2 options here. Add to current characters. Let's say this is especially important because right now we can't currently make different templates for major characters, minor characters, all that. So I have my template saved where I know there's things I want for each of my characters and all of my stories. Yet for my fantasy stories especially, I may want something else. So let's say I've generated all of those and I thought, oh, you know what? I want a field for this story. I can add that field here and then click add to current characters. And what that'll do is create that extra field in those characters that have already been generated. Keep in mind that field will be blank because those characters have already been generated. That is on their to-do list for us to be able to generate a certain characteristic. Just hit generate on that one little field. But currently you will have to do it manually. Either type in what you want or go to Quick Chat or Chat GPT, wherever, and have the AI generate something. So add to current characters adds the card to, or adds that field to your characters already generated. Save new defaults is what you want that first time. So after you've gone through, added in all of the traits, you're happy with it, I can move all of these around, do whatever you want. Save new defaults. And what that's going to do is now, if I add a character, if I click this button, all of my traits are right here. And I do go over this on as far as what the different buttons do, and as far as what's blank cards and everything like that. So read through that later. So just this add character, just clicking this gives me a blank card. It's not AI generated. You can see not filled in. This is great for those of you who want to do everything manually or just copy paste in right now. So add character, blank card. Let's say I did that by mistake. Click this, the 3 dots, and I can delete the card.
Nicole,
Yes, ma'am.
I just tried something, a quick fix for the character formatting.
Mhm.
If you go into quick edit, you can say rewrite the characters in paragraph format and it will work.
Awesome, thank you, perfect. There seems to be a little bug with the delete key on the card, so it's not actually deleting. I'm just going to collapse that. So expand, collapse. Yeah, delete's not working. And as you can see, since I did generate a character, the generate cast button is gone. So that's a little issue, but no big deal. We're going to do this real quick.
By the way, the generate cast button will always come back if the characters are empty.
Yeah,
Just
but
heads up.
yeah, it's just I can't delete it right now, so it won't like nothing's happening when I click delete.
Nicole, would you do me a favor and refresh and see if it goes away when you refresh? I'm going to look into this here.
Yes, ma'am. And did you say make it bigger?
No, just see if the character is still there after. Yeah.
It's
Oh, it is still there.
but let's see.
Okay.
Maybe. Nope. Okay.
I'm going to look into this.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
replicate it, Jenny.
So I'm just going to
Thank
copy this
you.
over into a new project real quick. No big deal. That way we can dive right into the templates. All right, so now I am going to generate all characters. Something to keep in mind, I currently don't have anything in Synopsis here, right? If you do not have anything in Synopsis, it will look at the brain dump. If you have something in Synopsis, that's where it'll pull from. One of the things I did make note of in that document, the best luck that I had with generating all of the characters, all the cast at once, was taking my old character descriptions, those short little descriptions for each one, sticking that in Synopsis. So my Synopsis box didn't have any story information. It was all just character personalities and descriptions. And I generated all characters from that. And I'd say it was 99% perfect. I really only needed to tweak the line of dialogue just because I like to get really specific with that. So something to play around with there. Do you like it with story information here in the synopsis and then generating all of your characters? or play around with just putting some basic character descriptions in the synopsis instead and then generating your cast. See which one you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and generate all characters here. And let me catch, is there anything I've missed in chat that y'all think is something good to go over on the recording?
Tomas said he used dashes instead of the colons and it worked.
Awesome. And while this is generating,
Hi,
I-
Nicole.
'cause hold on just a moment. As a reminder, I did see questions about course videos. So if y'all go to that Discord, that course videos, if you have to leave early or need other classes, they are right here in Discord. Yes, ma'am.
I just thought this question had popped up earlier, and I just thought I'd ask you too. Is would you suggest doing a backup of the character descriptions, just to make sure that even if it doesn't go incorrectly, that you have still the the original formatting?
You can. Whenever I did it earlier too, when it did generate my new stuff, it also, I'm able to go into the history on each of those cards and it would actually pull in that character stuff. So it should ideally already be there in the history. But for those of you who just, you want to make sure you don't want to have to deal with any possible issues, I would say go ahead and copy it out. But it was in history for me whenever I generated from my old character box to the new ones. Like the old, me messing with the old character box, all of those different variations were saved. And still going. Want to give it a couple more minutes. Any questions? Nope.
Nothing new in the chat.
Right.
I do want to reiterate what I usually say is that Sudowrite is great about not losing your words. I think the writers and us have got that across to the team, and they've been very good about it.
Yeah. The only time I can really say something came up missing was when that story Bible, when we got to story Bible from Story Engine, and they were easily able to recover everything. I say easily, but I mean, we didn't have to stress. They had to stress over getting that back to us, but they did. Yes, sir, Mr. Ryan Mather.
I actually have a question for Josh Charles about refreshing the page when you click generate all characters. Is it okay to refresh the page if it's taking too long? Are there any consequences of hitting refresh / how long is a normal amount of time for it to take?
Yeah, it takes a couple minutes. Refreshing the page may interfere with the generation. I think this is something that we need to give some love to figure out. I'm not sure how much we've tested that aspect of it. But it does definitely take a little bit longer than expected. It takes a little bit longer than the old character generation because it's actually running behind the scenes the entire old generation and then basically taking that output and piping it into filling out your character details based on your project. So it is doing like an extra step. So it will take a little bit longer than the previous Story Bible characters. But you should be fine. Like if it has been, 2 minutes and it hasn't filled it out, a refresh should be okay.
And to clarify, anybody curious, this was something we noticed towards the end of beta when we were generating all cast, it would actually take quite a while. So the way it generated this quickly was much better. So they've already improved that. But it would kind of get stuck towards the end on that generating cast, just that little bit left. I'm sure you've seen this happen with beats occasionally. And we would refresh and the characters would be there. So they're just trying to warn you, don't refresh too fast. Do give it that time to actually generate. And so generating this cast cost us, what did it cost here? $36,920 for this. And let's see how many it gave us. 11 characters. Now, keep in mind, I have seen people get charged up to 50K because I had a very small brain dump. My brain dump is usually maxed out, and that is getting counted as input. So if I had a lot more details in there, especially a lot more characters, right now I'm just saying, hey, 4 elemental writers, I asked for a special character, and then it threw in some others. Keep that in mind. The more you have in your brain dump and synopsis, the higher that cost can get. And then it also depends, of course, how many traits you have added. If you stick with those defaults, it's likely not going to be as high as that. And another little issue right here. It didn't fill these out, but I looked and I think it did fill all the other ones out. It did. So keep that in mind. There are still going to be some bugs. Please just report them. But it didn't do those little sections of traits here, but did it for the others. Maybe she's just a loner. She doesn't have the love interest, family, best friend, all that. And maybe she doesn't like wearing clothes. Who knows? Right, something else that is fun to do. It already did my Nox character, but I'm going to actually delete Nox. Team, correct me if I'm wrong. Logic says if I delete this character, I will not be able to recover this at all, correct?
No, it will go into your trash.
Really?
Yeah.
Except I can't
Unfortunately, the
delete to show
delete's
y'all.
broken at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is awesome though. So if I were to delete that, it would then come down here in trash. And I could say, oh, wait, I forgot to grab something. Let me restore that. So if I'm restoring it from trash, will it come back as a document or a character card?
It'll come back as a character. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Right. So something I had fun playing around with was, and I'm just trying to collapse these so you don't have to see me do so much scrolling. I know it gets on people's nerves. So we talked about having instructions. And I did talk with ChatGPT to try to get some ideas for y'all. Right here. Just went with ChatGPT, told it what I was doing. Thought y'all might have fun playing around with these. So these types of instructions, when you click this generate character, you can put instructions right here. You don't have to. I can just click go. I can click this random thing. Let's do some random and see what happens. Or I can put some instructions in. In one I was playing around with for my Dark Mafia romance, I had the male lead and I wanted him to have a best friend. And so in the instructions for that generating character, I just put create a best friend for Evan, make this best friend morally ambiguous, and have an even darker side. It was perfect. So play around with being very specific versus just giving it a little bit of guidance and letting it have fun. See what y'all like. Those instructions can hold a lot. I have put, I think I put a little over 700 words at once and it went through with no issue whatsoever. Yes, sir, Ryan.
I just wanted to point out real quickly 2 fun things. One, to Nicole's point, you can put a lot in there. You can even put like a chapter or something in there and be like, make a character sheet for Dawn, if Dawn was a character that appeared in the chapter. Or another thing that's really interesting is that something to play with is that the order of the traits matters. So when Nicole said even darker side, so you could have one trait that's like dark side, and then another trait beneath it that says even darker, and then a third trait that says like, absolute worst. So you can play around with the order of your traits if you want them to influence each other. So maybe, for example, if your character has wants, you could put their dark side before wants, and then the wants will have that dark side to them, compared to if you did your wants and then your dark side. By the time it's writing wants, it hasn't thought about the dark side yet.
Thank you. And we currently do not have the thumbs up or thumbs down. So I am noticing, and this was something Ryan had spotted before that they were looking into, how some fields just aren't getting generated sometimes. So it seems very random on when it's happening, at least just from my quick view of it. But it did leave off some again. Again, please be patient, y'all. This is just released. So just help us track down the bugs, help the team track down the bugs, and we'll get it sorted out. Yes, sir, Mr. David.
Thank you. I asked this question at the class that they had yesterday, and people weren't sure, but I thought I'd bring it up now. In the character, you create a physical description. Can I highlight that physical description and then go to visualize to get the picture?
So you won't, team, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't highlight it here because visualize doesn't, the tools don't work in the box. So I can't highlight it here, but I can copy it here
That's right.
and into a document.
Yes, that's the way to do it.
And actually we did this for this story. Where was it? And it worked great. I love the things that it came out with. Maybe. You ever notice nothing's easy to find whenever you want to show people? But we did it in one of the recent classes with this story. We used Visualize for all of our elemental writers and their beast. Came out great. Oh, it's over here. There we go. So yeah, so I just took the descriptions for their beast, each one's of their beast, and used Visualize. And I love doing this. I highly recommend if this isn't something y'all normally do. It just helps kind of cement those characters in my mind for me to do things more realistically or in line with their character. Play
I
around
feel
with
like it got better without. That's so cool. These look really cool.
it. Yeah, I loved how it came out with them.
Hey, Nicole,
Yes, sir.
don't forget they make excellent interior art for your books.
Yep, I was just thinking that as good as a lot of these came out, I could actually see myself making not quite a comic book, but like just a little graphic novel with them.
Exactly. And yes, it costs more, but you can use, I didn't mean to derail it, but yes, it costs a little more, but you can use, if you use Amazon, just use their color feature and they'll be in color.
So, but yeah, you can't use Visualize directly in the boxes, but just copy that into a blank document and you can use Visualize there. Lots of fun. So let's go to our instructions. I'm going to have it, this may not work since Knox is already a character in here, but I'm going to tell it, generate a morally ambiguous character named Knox. This element will be shadows. And the reader and other elemental writers should have reasons to question his loyalty. And motives throughout the story. I am giving the AI a ton of room to play here. All I'm doing is telling it I want that morally ambiguous character named Knox, have his element be the shadows. Something else. So actually, I'm going to copy this real quick because I was talking earlier about how you might want to add a different field. Well, these characters are supposed to have elemental beast tied to them. There's no elemental beast trait here. So I'm going to go to my customize real quick. And I'm going to tell it description of elemental beast. And the beast magical abilities. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this as my new default. This would have been perfect for me to actually do before I generate everything. So now whenever I generate this one, oh look, it's saved. When I generate this one, it should generate a card with that additional field into it. Any questions while this is going? Can we export the characters and import it into a new project for a series? Team, is the duplicate characters working? So when we duplicate a project, are characters currently being duplicated now or still not quite yet?
They're not duplicated yet.
Okay.
There's one in here, I think, for Jenny, probably. Xavier says, given the characters evolve along the story, when we generate the prose, can we select the part of the character that must be taken into account directly in the characters or in the beats header, or do we have to modify them in the characters before generating the prose?
Okay, good question. So, but back to the duplicate thing. So they are working on the duplicate where if you duplicate a project, characters will get duplicated in the world building. So once that's out, I think that will help Simon with your issue. For updating, I'm going to say this is probably a workflow preference. Me personally, I generally have, it's actually not in here, I don't think. So my normal romance novels have a field here for characters' current emotional state. I have another field for character motivations, goals, and conflicts. I know as I'm working through the story, due to the other things that I have, I know all of my other traits are just personality things. I don't have to mess with those. I know as I'm going through my story, I can easily just go into those two boxes and adjust as needed. I like having that control. I like being able to tell the AI what I think of that character's current state versus the AI possibly making something up. So in my opinion, that is a workflow. Now, if you're asking as far as can the AI be smart enough just without you changing it, that is a question for the team. But just keep in mind, everything we put in there, the AI is taking that into account. So I wouldn't want to have any conflicting information. If you know you want something to change up for that chapter, I highly recommend going in there and changing it up. That's just kind of a best practice to get in through for everything. So it did generate our Knox. Let's see. Embodiment of mystery and ambiguity. Close this out. Knack for keeping others guessing about his true intentions. Little on the nose there, I would reword that. Talk to some good little traits here. I like that. And of course, I'm always changing up the lines of dialogues. But y'all see, our one here came out very weird. Didn't actually generate. Go ahead, Mr. Don.
Hi, yes, I was taking down some notes earlier. I missed, what did you click on to pop up the box that you typed into that said generator character named Knox?
Right here. So if you go at the top of the characters thing, there's customize, add character, and generate character. If I click generate character, I can put a whole bunch of information right here.
Okay, perfect.
I don't even think we found the limit for, the team probably doesn't want you to, but I don't think we found a limit for how many words you could put in here. I don't know if anybody else has played around and reached it. And then of
There's
course,
definitely a limit, but it should be like 1,000 to 2,000 words.
oh, so does anybody get like a lollipop if they find the exact limit?
If you paste all of Moby Dick in there, it will fail.
Michael says it depends on your credit, how many credits you have.
That is true, yeah. And again, I can do some random characters here. Let's do this. Let's just say something I did before, and it's actually more applies to world building is when I did it in, I posted a screenshot in that document I shared with y'all. I'm going to have it do elemental beast. I'm going to see if it pops up the same way it did in that screenshot, and I'll show y'all just so y'all know what I'm talking about. Did I not have it here? I think I just talked about it. So when I've done this before, what I'm about to do, I'm going to tell it that I want to generate 4 elemental beasts. for our 4 elemental writers. When I did this before, I wasn't sure how it would pop up. I didn't know if it would pop up on 4 separate cards. It actually brought them into 1 card, which still wasn't bad. It worked for what I was doing, but just to show y'all the little variety you can do.
For what it's worth, I believe generate character will always do 1 card. It doesn't have the ability to do multiple yet.
Okay. And this worked fine. I mean, it was really no big deal. I just loved playing around with it. So create 4 distinct elemental beasts, 1 for each elemental rider. Describe each beast's magical abilities, physical description, and any magical limitations. Let's see what that does. Something I want to talk about too real quick is special characters. I do not know if this has been resolved. Previously, we discovered having colons in the field name. So if I had described their dialogue and speaking style, colon, and the remainder of the instructions, that was causing that field not to generate, which may be the reason for that one that was weird, but I didn't have any special characters. But just keep that in mind, colons were definitely throwing it off previously. Any questions?
Yeah, Chris has one there. Why is generating character failing for me? Is it because I have custom attributes with certain physical descriptors? That's Chris.
Why is it because I have the custom attributes? That's a good question. Is it generating for you for upgrading from an old character box, or it's not filling out these traits at all, like from a new project or something? New characters. Okay. Do you have those special characters in your field names, like a colon, parentheses, like they worked for me, somebody else said it didn't work for them, but colons were definitely throwing things off and it would not generate that. Talking spicy channel stuff. Okay, take that over to the spicy channel then. Lots of us have been playing around with it, so we'll be able to help you better there, and that way you don't have to worry about restricting your language and we can do whatever.
Yeah. When that character finally generates, will you show us the drop down for the protagonist box?
Mm-hmm. All right, so what did it do here? Do you see it actually only did 1? This is actually more my fault though, because of the physical traits or, because of my trait boxes, it's just trying to fill those in. It really doesn't have a spot to add in the others. But it did generate Ignis. Let's see, a he, him, fierce and loyal beast. Okay. Background comes from a volcano. Scales that shimmer like molten lava. Not bad. So different things to play around with. This is one of the things I would look forward to whenever they allow us, if they're able to allow us to do different cards, templates, especially for like fantasy or paranormal type stories, with familiars, things like that. I would love to see my character box have those traits for that, and then say a pet, just regular old house dog. I want to be able to have some different boxes for that, and that is on their list. They do know we are interested in that. Hang on just a second, Manon. Let me show them this so I don't forget. So y'all see all of these blank drop downs right here. This is where you can just do protagonist. You can list whatever. You can also type something in. So I can say whatever I want. I typically don't ever even use these. Now, if they start weighting this, like, hey, we're giving a whole lot of emphasis on your protagonist and that comes before everything, I might start using them, but this is an optional thing for y'all to use. Go ahead, Mana.
Just bring a point that's a lot of us write with different language, or our characters, some characters speak French and the rest of them speak English, or there is accent. I know most of us, they say don't write with accent or anything like that in your, but some people do. So for them, how do they see that in the new character box? The language, how they speak, how do we make sure they speak a different or a broken French or things like that?
So if you know for sure what you're wanting the AI to generate, you could put that in your field name. I could put, describe their dialogue and speaking style and what kind of accent they use, what type of dialect they use, or I could have a whole nother field, accent or dialect style. I think I would like to do the separate field, and I like doing the separate fields mostly because it's just easier for me to find that spot and then make a quick change. So I would actually do another field and title it. You can either just do like the question, what type of accent or dialect does this character use, or just keep it simple. Accent or dialect this character speaks with. And then add it to current characters or save new defaults if you know you want to keep this. And then the field is down here. Again, that's going to be blank. And then eventually in the future, we will be able to just generate and fill this one in. Yes, sir. Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, comment quickly, like if there's only one character that has an accent, you can also click add trait. And if you're willing to like type it in from scratch, and like all your characters don't need to have the same traits. I'm not sure if we covered that yet.
There we go. So he means like just under these cards. So at the end of all of those, I don't have to go into that customize field. I could just add the trait right here. Accent or dialect, and fill that in, or again, use quick chat, quick edit, chat GPT, whatever, if I need help coming up with something. All right, so some of the basic things, the pronouns, groups, other names, these are defaults. You cannot get rid of them. I've asked, I've tried. These should help y'all. Y'all know I'm always harping on y'all about your beats, use a character's name. Things like this should help us avoid issues more. So you can make sure to put that pronoun. This is especially great if you have a character with the, what's that word? Where the name can go male or female. Anyway.
Unisex.
What's that?
Unisex.
Thank you. I was totally going with a word I knew wasn't right. But if you have a unisex sounding name, this is especially important. Or if you know they want to go by they, there, you can put that here so the AI can take that into account. Is it perfect? No. Y'all should know by now, nothing the AI does is perfect. That's why we're always working so hard on improving our own wording and everything. So that'll help. Groups, this is great. Or if poor Miss Lynn, you know, with her team thing, team of shifters, she would say the team in the beats. Well, there was no team character, so it would just go in and make up a whole new team each time she mentioned the team. So now with groups, she could say the team, or, you know, Brian, you had mentioned before not to have the as the name of the card. Would you say that applies here for groups or anything in these boxes as well for names?
Good question. The thing is that is actually okay to have here. I think you do want to separate the names with a colon, if I'm not mistaken.
Comma.
Sorry, comma.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure for the in characters, actually, the might be counted as a first name.
Yeah, that's why we
Yeah.
recommend against it, because it will cause your character to match against.
Oh, but those are groups, not
Yeah.
names. So for groups, it's okay. For other names, it's not okay.
Okay. So
Right now, groups is not used that much because our first version of it was too aggressive. Like it was bringing in everyone from who is in the same group like all the time. So we're probably gonna do another pass at that eventually to try to incorporate groups more. Right now, groups is mostly something that will be referenced at a high level, like a overarching kind of way.
I did find out that I did have to use the names of the team members in my beat header to get them to come out right. Thank you, Jenny, for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Still a work in progress, but some improvement. This is great. Like if you have a motorcycle gang, you can put the name of the gang here so you know each character's, especially if you have the rival gangs in your character boxes. This character belongs to this motorcycle gang. This character belongs to the other one. So they said use colons, separate by colons. I have done the line thing. I don't know if it's changed. It was working fine for me, so play around with that. Keep that in mind. Something I've also done is not necessarily use like an organization here, but like for my mafia family, I actually have this wording right there in groups and Rossi family. And that helped. So I didn't always have to mention each one's names. I found using this too also helped bring in some variety. So instead of the AI constantly saying my character's names or the first and last names that can get repetitive, it was actually bringing in the Rossi brothers appropriately. So I loved it. Play around with these things. Think outside of the box of what you can do with it. For one of my characters in her other names, I was testing this out and it worked like a charm. You know, I thought, well, maybe all the characters are going to start calling her this, or he's just always going to be calling her that. And I didn't want either of those things to happen. I used this wording, frequently called beautiful by Ethan, in her other names box. It brought it in great. Again, play around with this. All right, so we've gone over how to customize. Again, as of right now, whenever you do that customize, this gets saved for everyone. So if you have just this little minor character you want some basic defaults for, you might want to just add that blank card and then use quick chat, quick edit, whatever you want to use to generate their traits. Let's see what we're looking at for activity here. So we had generate all characters just under 37, and then generating each individual, averaging about 4,500, looks like.
Nicole, I want to let you know too that delete should be fixed now. So if you want to delete that character, you may have to refresh the page to get the fix, but you should be able to.
Let's try it out. Yes. And perfect. So that one's gone, and you see my trash popped up with 1. And if I restore, Aria is back here. So there you go. Thank y'all for taking care of that so quickly. All right, team, I know y'all probably need to go. Is there anything else you would like to make sure people know?
For characters,
Oh, I actually have a question since y'all are here to elaborate on this. Y'all know a lot of us would put settings in our old character box. And yes, I know we have world building. Let's just pretend we don't for a minute. Or kind of give a comparison. What would you say would be the difference if I'm putting a setting here, like say a town or a home? I'm putting that setting here in characters versus world building. How does the AI viewing them differently, if at all?
Yeah. Is that actually, can I actually ask Ginny to answer that question? Because she has the most familiarity with how they're interpreted differently by the AI.
Yeah, definitely. So Basically, the first thing I think to keep in mind is that when we pass along the character's information, we explain it as character's information. So, for the world building stuff, we're going to say something like, these are world building elements that you need to keep in mind. Whereas with characters, we're going to say, these are characters that you need to keep in mind. And I think the other thing, which is perhaps maybe might have more of an effect, is the fact that when it goes through the saliency engine and we're trying to create like the version of the characters that are most appropriate for the given prompt at the given time. So like, for example, when you're doing a chapter generate and it's writing the prose and we're trying to pull out the relevant information, we tell the AI to look for relevant information that's like specific to a character, like personality development and interpersonal relationships, conflicts, anxieties, and those kinds of things. Whereas when we're doing this for the world building elements, we're doing it in a much more abstract way, sensory descriptions, location, that kind of thing.
So in my mind, a good way to possibly look at it, if you're actually still considering where to put it, might be, is it just a town and you just want to note the key locations? For instance, this is getting into the world building. I'll show that tomorrow. Let's say I want to show just the main spots for the town, the coffee shop, the library, things like that. I would put that in world building. Let's say I have the school, the Hogwarts school, or a haunted mansion. We did that horror story for Halloween where the mansion, each room would change every hour. So maybe if it's something that just really has characteristics that are evolving and changing, I would play around with actually putting that as a character, just my 2 cents.
Yeah. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, any kind of world building element you put in characters will conflict with the space that characters can take up, right?
True.
So like world building and characters each kind of have the space that they are allocated. And obviously we're still playing with that, but it just depends on what you're prioritizing, I guess.
Good point. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight something that's pretty cool that Ginny, actually, this is Ginny appreciation session. Something really cool Ginny built for this release is that when you use the chapter generator with characters, it will actually on a stride by stride basis, like look at and consider the characters in the new light. So let's say, for example, you've got a character that's doing a lot of dialogue in a set of beats. It'll definitely look at that dialogue style and incorporate that. Or if there's a scene where maybe this character's got a distinctive tattoo that is mentioned, it'll definitely pull in that distinctive tattoo design in the beats where it's mentioned. So that's just something to consider and play with, that it's dynamic in that way. In the previous old version of Story Bible, it couldn't handle that. So you would really have to go in there and constantly edit that and make sure that it's exactly what you want. Maybe even you're like pausing in between beats to update the characters. This current system should be more robust and be able to handle the dynamism of like how your character shows up in different ways depending on what's happening in the scene.
Thank you. And thank you again to the team for hanging out with us today and answering questions. I know y'all have a lot to do. Hopefully we'll be able to see y'all again tomorrow for the world building, but if not, we understand. We'll harass y'all in Discord, as always. But so does anybody have any questions? Do we need to go over a certain step for anyone? Do you have questions about the traits, about anything with generating characters? Again, I tried to put some additional information here, so please read through this. Hopefully you'll have fun with it. I really hope you'll have fun with the template ideas and go down the numerous rabbit holes like I did. It will not be sent in an email, but again, if you go to Discord, that course videos channel right here on the left, you click on that and it'll bring up all of our recorded sessions. It typically takes a few days to a week for Michael to get this uploaded, but I will give it to him right after this session, send it over. So I'm sure he'll make it the best effort to get it up right away, and y'all can rewatch it here. So for a quick, to watch the past class recordings, go to the course videos. You can do a search up here. You want to find a class on beats. What did I do wrong? Nothing wants to work today. Here we go. My internet's just being slow, I think. Here we go. So I can do a search on beats, pull up these, go to that, and I can sit here and watch the video in there. So that's a way for y'all to watch these old recordings like that. Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks,
Do you have a link to the template? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I just said thank you, Nicole, for this awesome session.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for leading this.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to the world building. I love these both so much, but world building is a whole different ballpark. So here is this document right here for those who need it. And that links to this spreadsheet right here with some template ideas for y'all. Did you get, it's just two above you, Charlene. All right. Well, that is it. I am going to hang around for a few more minutes to answer questions, but that's it for this session. So thank you all for hanging out with me again. Go to the Luma page, register for our classes. We have the world building tomorrow, our workflows the day after, and not to mention all of the other great sessions the teachers are putting on for y'all. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording, but again, I'll hang around for questions. Thank you, everyone.